Hi everyone, my name is Christina Mosier and today I will be talking about social stories. My two other group members, Amber Nelms and All Lorena Sades, also helped me put together this presentation for today. So what are social stories? Well, Carol Gray developed them in the 1990s. She originally made them to assist individuals who are on the autism spectrum with social situations. So what they do is they describe the situations and the behavior that is expected with social cues and perspectives. They tell the individual what responses are appropriate given that situation. There are many different types of sentences used in social stories. One of them is descriptive sentences, and those explain the questions like who will be there, why, where, and how the situation will occur. So an example of this is, at school, most people go to the cafeteria for lunch. Then there's perspective sentences, and those enlighten the potential thinking of all individuals involved, and they're pertinent to the setting. So an example of this is, many students like to eat their lunch with others. Another type of sentence used in social stories is directive sentences. And what those do is they tell the individual what the right behavior to do is in that situation. And it urges them to use that correct behavior. So an example of this is, when I eat, I will touch my food. Then we also have control device sentences, and those ones give cues to the child that are helpful in that particular setting to let them know that they are in that setting where they need to use the appropriate behavior in that social story. There are also affirmative emphasizes sentences, and those emphasize the important rules that they need to remember when they are in that situation. And cooperative sentences, which are formulated so that the child knows that others can help them in that setting. Then sometimes there are also partial fill-in-the-blank sentences. These ones aren't always used, but when they are, they do encourage anonymous discerning when facing a certain situation so that the individuals can understand their social story and you can test them for that. So some research background about social stories. Will Kilgray, who, as we said before, developed social stories, along with Joy Nichols, had their first published study on social stories related to autistic behavior in 1993. Overall, there are actually limited studies on individual social stories in practice. However, it is still an evidence-based practice. And this is because social stories are usually used in combination with another intervention. So it's hard to tell which one actually worked. A study most recently, as of 2015, with Payne and his colleagues, did determine that function-based social stories, as well as functional communication training, helped to decrease a targeted behavior. So as we said before, this correlates to the fact that they're usually used in combination with another intervention. So who are social stories appropriate for? Well, as we have been saying, they're widely used for individuals with autism. That's who they were originally created for. They're also usually used with verbal individuals. And there's no specific age range, but more typically they're used between ages 4 years old to adulthood. And many educators also use them for problem behaviors in the classroom. There are many steps to implement when writing the social stories. You want to make sure that you are putting the setting in simple terms. You want to make sure that you are using more descriptive sentences than direct sentences. You want to make sure that you're writing the story from either a first or third person perspective. You also want to make sure that you're using the specific ratio that Gray had described, which is using between 2 to 5 descriptive sentences for every directive sentence. You also want to make sure that you're naming the people, that you give the order of events, and that you let the individual know why things are occurring in that setting and what the appropriate response would be. So we are going to be combining our social stories with our FaceSafe program. And this right here is a quick example of our FaceSafe program.
Look, Rob, can you please click on the one I'm looking at? Thank you. That's just what I wanted.
So that's just one of the games. They will be using several different types of games in that program. We'll go over a little bit more detail of that in a little bit. So how do we implement social stories? Well, it's best when they are used after a functional behavior assessment has occurred. And the reason is because we know that they are more effective now based on a lot of studies when we know the function of the behavior, because then we can write the social story to target that specific function of that behavior. They also work best when they're written individually for each child based on their problem behavior and the function. For the most part, social stories aren't going to be alike between two different students. They should be personalized. And then for our specific program at our school, we are going to have the students read their social story. It's going to be in a binder at their desk. And then they can answer questions about their social story either through fill in the blank or through the teacher asking them questions. They answer those questions. They will be able to go to a computer and practice their social skills using the FaceAid program. And the FaceAid program has many different games that allows them to learn eye gaze and how to use social engagement with other individuals. So there are many different ways to write a social story. You can make a video, and that's one I'm about to show you right now.
Angry is okay when things go wrong, but we have to stay safe, follow the rules to make things better. So this is how we're going to do it. First, take 3 slow breaths. Good job, buddy. Next, open your hands. Now you've earned your second star. Now keep your hands safe on the table or at your legs. Okay. Thank you for keeping your hands safe. You did such a great job. You earned another star. Now there's only one more thing we need to do. Now you can say this out loud or show me that pet card. I am calm and I need help.
I am calm and I need help.
Okay, so that's just a quick example of social story that you can do. The one thing I will say about that in the critique is that if you notice, it was mostly directive sentences. So we do want to make sure we're using more descriptive sentences than directive sentences. For the purpose of this presentation, I wrote a social story for an individual going to the dentist. So I'll read it to you. It's called Going to the Dentist. Everyone needs to see a dentist. The dentist makes your teeth shiny and white. The dentist also helps prevent and help toothaches. My mom and dad will take me to the dentist every 6 months. When I go, I will first check at the front desk, the waiting room before the dentist is ready for me. I can play on the phone, I can read books, or I can watch TV while I'm waiting. I cannot run around the waiting room. This will make my mom or dad upset, and I could hurt myself. When the dentist is ready for me, I will hear my name being called. I will follow the dentist to the room. When I get there, I will sit in the dentist chair. When I sit in the dentist chair, the dentist will ask me to open up my mouth wide so that they can look at my teeth. It's okay to be scared when this happens. If I am scared, I can say, I'm scared, or please give me a minute. And when I'm ready, the dentist will gently look inside my mouth and clean my teeth. This doesn't hurt. After, I will let the dentist clean my mouth and check inside my mouth. I will also get a prize from their toy box. Going to the dentist is no big deal. I can do it. So that's an example social story. How do we determine if social story is successful? Well, like I said before, we want to make sure that we are making them written mainly on the function of the behavior. We also will have the students answer questions about their social story, either through fill in the blank or verbally, when they're practicing it. And obviously, if they answer correct, we know that they're understanding the social story and they're able to use it in everyday world, hopefully. We will know that it's mostly successful, for the most part, is when it reduces their problem behavior overall, which is always the goal. So quick overview, we are going to be using the social story strategy in combination with the FACE-A program. That's going to help the students learn to engage in contingent responses to an interaction or conversation. They're going to be able to use appropriate engagement with adults and peers. They'll be able to make attempts or hopefully bids for attention, and also make comments about a situation or have requests for certain situations. Also, the FACE-A program is going to help the students identify different facial expressions and emotions that are connected with social engagement. Some quick final tips. You want to remember there are several different types of sentences used in social stories. While they are all great, we do want to make sure we are using more descriptive sentences than directive sentences. And then we also want to make sure that we write our social story based on a functional behavior. If possible, I know sometimes it's hard to get an FBA done or a functional analysis done, but it's really helpful in this particular situation. And then we also want to make sure we're always keeping our story personable and individualized for the students so that they can put that story into their perspective. And that's it for our presentation for today. Here's a list of references used in this presentation. If you have any questions, please reach out. Otherwise, I hope you really enjoyed this presentation.